So it's 2021, everybody's anticipating getting a PS5, some high-end console like an Xbox One S. And I have this. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new, please consider subscribing, like and share, and welcome to the Dark Gang. So today I will be talking about having a PSP in 2021 and if it is worth it for you. So the PSP, or the PlayStation Portable as it's formerly known, was launched in May 2004 with a release in December 2004, and over the course of the year reaching other countries and other regions of the world. It has a 4.3-inch screen. This is kind of giving me vibes of a Nintendo Switch in its very early stages. Now, if you follow portable devices, you do know that Nintendo already had the Game Boy Color, the Game Boy Advance, and this was kind of Sony's way of stepping into that dimension of portable gaming consoles, and we had this PlayStation Portable. What I'm holding is actually the PSP 2000, the second variant of the PSP. There was a much heavier PSP 1000, which I did have but got spoiled along the course of time. There's this PSP 2000, which is slightly lighter and has a bit more modifications on the body, which I will get to in a second. There's a PSP 3000, or the PSP Slim and Light, which improves upon these modifications made by the PSP 2000. There was a PSP Street, which was actually made of plastic type material and a lot lighter than even the 2000 and 3000. And then the infamous PSP Go, which really in our part of the continent didn't really make sense to have because you had to download everything over the internet and not everyone exactly had internet access. But if you did have a PSP, you were kind of the rich kid technically. So when you do look at it, it does seem like a portable PlayStation device. You do have your directional buttons over here like you would see on the standard PlayStation pad. You do have the XO, box, and square. This also did allow you to connect to the internet via WLAN. So on the bottom of the console, you actually have different buttons that provide different levels of functionality, as you would see with a standard PS2 actually, if that's the closest comparison I can really draw to this. On the side, on the right side specifically, there's the power switch, and you have it doubling as a hold switch. Your charging port is over here. And then on the left side, you have the memory stick dual port. Now, in this device is a 4GB memory stick currently. I do like to think of it as a long memory card because a lot of cameras used to use memory cards that were pretty much the size of this. But when you do a close comparison, you do see that this is slightly longer and slightly slimmer. So I don't know what the motivation was. You need accessibility, and I don't think narrowing it down to such a device as this or such a design was really the best case scenario for Sony. And then if I remember correctly, as opposed to the PSP 1000 where the battery was on the right side, you have the battery on the left side. This has a 1200 milliamp hour battery, and this has all the information under it. So the UMD actually doesn't have a switch with the 2000 as opposed to the 1000. You just pop it right like that, and there we go. So gameplay on the PSP is actually quite modified to suit the purposes of it being a portable device. Now, this is not going to have full functionality as a standard PlayStation controller would. The first of which is notable is there is no second analog stick. So a lot of things would have to be relayed back to the directional buttons. And this can be a problem, especially when they are cross-platform games. Like if there's a game for the PS2, along with that for a PSP, there are going to be some noticeable differences, not just with graphics, but also with the gameplay and style of gameplay. And also, as opposed to having an L1 and 2 and R1 and 2, you only have the L and R bumper buttons on the top of the device. There's also a loop over here which allows you to pass a lanyard or something of that sort, so you can dangle the device and also kind of help you to handle this a little easier when you're out in public. So there were three major ways you could play games on the PSP. First of which is if you actually copy games to your memory stick. That's a bit of an illegal means, you know, jailbreaking and all of that was going on at the time, which enabled for that to happen. There was also a way by which you could download games from the PlayStation Store at the time. And then there's the UMDs. Now, personally, I have 11 games on the PSP, with 2 of them actually being movies. So as opposed to cartridges that the Game Boy and Nintendo DS would use at the time, Sony decided to develop UMDs, and they were actually using them for their camera devices that they manufactured at that set time. So it was a great alternative, but sustainability was where it would come as a bit of a challenge. The most notable thing about them is that they were kind of small DVDs and that they had this protective housing. Now, this does not mean that you can completely rip the housing and just use the disc. It won't work for you. You need to have the disc protected at all times. So this was kind of, whilst this was good, there are a bit of drawbacks with it. So in terms of battery life, I have experienced a maximum of about 5 hours of gameplay at a time, and this was when the battery was good. Of course, me setting it down at certain points of time has contributed to the battery being bad now, and it's so bad that when I remove the charging pin now, it just goes off immediately. So that's a bit of a bummer. Now, for a console in its time, the graphics weren't so bad. Of course, they can't be comparable to what we have now, but it was way ahead of its time and quite revolutionary, and really blew out its competition out of the water. In my eyes, this is a very revolutionary product. Of course, this has contributed to what we know as the Nintendo Switch, even when you look at the bodies, because Nintendo used to have that double screen with the DS, and that was a little confusing at times. This was able to provide internet functionality, which the DS, or I mean the Switch, has provided. Now, shockingly, it didn't sell as many units as the DS. It sold about 80 million units short, which is quite a shock considering this is probably a lot better. The big question, is this applicable? Now, if you're in Ghana and you've been asking this question, I will tell you this: you might not see the relevance of this. Or if you can't afford a Nintendo Switch and you can go to Accra and get one of these, well, I do think it's a good investment. Of course, if you have a good battery, you are guaranteed some good gameplay, especially if ECG decides to mess up like it's been doing a lot lately. But ultimately, is this a good buy? I think so. It depends on who you are as a person. If you are more into actual consoles and you can afford it, then hey, this wouldn't really be worth your time. But if you are one of those people like me who is trying to get up there financially and you don't really have options, well, I think this is good for you still in 2021. So that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please do subscribe to the channel. I would massively appreciate that to help me out a lot. These videos take a lot of time to make. Do leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought about it. You can follow me on my social media handles. I will see you again tomorrow with another video. Till then, take care, peace and love. I am the Dark Man, and I'm out.